We're here at XenServer HQ on the Science Park in Cambridge. Today we're not going inside to see what the team are doing. We're going to go into Cambridge to learn about Xen and open source.
Xen was created here in the University of Cambridge Computer Laboratory. The Computer Lab celebrating its 75th anniversary this year. Initially started as the mathematical laboratory, it's made many contributions to computer science. Some of the more notable include the devstack, one of the first stored program computers back in 1949, and in the 80s it gave birth to Acorn, which ultimately led to the ARM processor architectures that we're familiar with today in phones and tablets and many other devices. Xen was an output of the xenserver research project. This was started in the late 1990s in order to investigate globally distributed computing, a forerunner of what we today refer to as the cloud. It became a full open source project in 2003 with additional contributions from IBM, HP and others. And by 2004 it had its first major releases, Xen 1.0 and 2.0. In 2005, XenSource was created to commercialize Xen, and it became a much larger project with contributions from AMD, Sun, Red Hat, Novell and many others. Xen is the engine that powers a virtualization platform such as XenServer. Xen introduced the concept of paravirtualization. This is where virtual machines are aware they're running in a virtualized environment and therefore can be optimized for doing that. Xen initially worked only with Linux virtual machines. This is because paravirtualization required that Linux itself be modified to run on top of Xen. For the last couple of years, the changes required have been part of mainstream Linux, and Xen today is itself part of the Linux Foundation. Xen also supports running Windows virtual machines, thanks to Intel's VT and AMD's AMD-V technology that allows certain instructions that would otherwise have to be emulated to be trapped and handled by the hypervisor in an efficient manner.
When people hear about open source, they usually think about hackers and free stuff. But in the last 10 years, open source has moved on and become a very successful model for players in the industry to collaborate. A very successful model to build large and vibrant ecosystems, as well as to increase the reach of your technology. And companies such as IBM, Google, Red Hat and others have done very well out of that open source model. We have at least 10 million open source Xen users. Open source is a proven model for collaboration, and we've seen this in the Xen ecosystem, where we wouldn't actually have been able to develop Xen 10 years ago if it hadn't been open source. It's also enabled us to almost increase the development velocity by a factor of 10. If you look at the developer community around the Xen hypervisor, there's around 100 different people who are actively developing the hypervisor, and only 10 come from Citrix. In a closed environment, Citrix would have had to employ an extra 90 people to get the same effect.
Because Xen is an open source technology, lots of companies incorporated Xen as a key piece of their products and services. For example, Amazon Web Services runs on Xen. The Oracle Virtual Machine product contains Xen. SUSE's public cloud runs on Xen, and Skype runs on Xen, etc. There are many more examples.
On the 15th of April, Xen became a Linux Foundation collaboration project. And before this point, it had been a Citrix project, or before that a XenSource project. Becoming a Linux Foundation collaboration project gives Xen a number of advantages. First, it places Xen in a vendor-neutral home that has a great track record in industry collaboration. Secondly, up to now, Xen's success in cloud has been a bit of a secret. The Linux Foundation project structure requires members to be public about their use of Xen, and this will be great for Xen's reputation as the leader in cloud. Thirdly, it gives Zen great open source credentials and makes it very clear that Citrix has no plan to take Zen proprietary. And finally, it gives the members of the project space where they can invest further in joint test infrastructure and, for example, research projects on Zen performance and other aspects of Zen.
In this video, we've talked about three things. We've talked about Zen. We've talked about how Zen is open source, what open source is and why that matters. And we've talked about how Zen has recently become a Linux Foundation project. But it's important to draw a line between Zen and XenServer. XenServer is a Citrix product that we make, that we warrant, that we sell and that we support as Citrix. Zen is an open source technology with a user and development community around it that we incorporate as part of XenServer. These two things are not the same, and it's Zen that's recently become a Linux Foundation project, not XenServer, that remains a Citrix product. In part 2 of our open source series, we will talk about what we're doing with open source to deliver more value in XenServer.